Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be working through the 603 quiz, which is on the topic of surface area. And we're going to be focusing on surface area of cubes, rectangular prisms, and then square-based pyramids. So first, let's just kind of talk about what surface area is. Well, if we think about our different shapes, if we have a two-dimensional shape, so a flat shape, then we're talking about, the perimeter, so the measure around the outside, or the area, that's the inside, the filling. Well, when we have a three-dimensional shape, so that's what we have pictured here in this example, it happens to be a cube, there are a couple different measurements. We can have the surface area. Well, that's the area of the surface. So anything that's in gray here is what we're using to find the surface area. So it's basically the area of each of the faces, each of the sides, all of our different squares put together. And then when you have 3D shapes, you can also find the volume, which is how much, the filling is, what could fit on the inside. So surface area is the area of the outside of a three-dimensional figure. There's a couple different ways that you can find surface area, but what we're focusing on is using our nets to help us find the surface area. So remember that a net is when you unfold a 3D figure. You basically unfold it and you have the flattened version. So I really think this comes into play a lot with cubes and with rectangular prisms, because if you have, like, say, a Kleenex box here. If you were to cut all of the sides, you can unfold it and you could make it flat. Or if you had like a cereal box, you can rip open all the seams in the sides and unfold it, and you have a net. You have a flat version of your 3D shape. So first, this first example here aligns with questions 1, 2, and 3 of your quiz. And we are given the net and the 3D version, so that way we can see here's the net. This makes up a cube. That's the 3D shape that we're dealing with here. And we want to find the surface area. When we did this in class, everybody was doing it slightly different. Some people had kind of some different shortcuts they liked. So I'll try to share a few of those most common ways so you can see what works for you. But the first way is if we look at this shape, we see that this 3D cube here unfolds and makes 6 different squares. Those are our 6 different faces. All right. Well, let's go ahead and find the area of one of those squares, one of those faces. Remind me, when I have a square, the length and the width are the same. They're the same because that's what makes it a square, is all 4 sides are the same. So even though it's only told me 12 meters, I know that this square has a length of 12 meters and it has a width of 12 meters. So to find that area of one individual face here, just regular area, A for area, we would take our length times our width. So we will multiply our length of 12 times our width of 12, and we get an area of 144 meters squared. 144. Oop, that does not look like a 144. Let me fix that. There we go, that's a little bit better. So one way you could find the surface area is you could just simply add all of this up, because I know that every one of these squares are the same. They all have an area of 144. So you could either do it by hand or do it in your calculator, and you could add 144 6 times, because each one of our faces, each one of our sides here has that as the area, and that will give you the total surface area. So the area of the entire surface of our cube. But one of the little shortcuts that can make this easier, because if you're adding that a bunch of times in your calculator, what if you accidentally only add it 5 times, or you accidentally add it 1 too many times? Then you'll get the wrong answer. So what I think a lot of people in class were doing is they're like, well, I remember that Multiplication is just repeated addition. It's a shortcut to addition. So if one of my sides here, so if I want to find surface area, one of my faces here has an area of 144, and I have 6 total faces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can just multiply that by 6 to get the total surface area, and that's a little faster and has a little less room for error. So we see that the surface area of this cube is 864 meters squared. And that is it. All right, let's move to number 4, which is a rectangular prism. So a rectangular prism is, similar concept to what we just did. We're going to use that net. We're going to find the individual area of each shape here and add it all up. But when we have a rectangular prism, it's a little different because a rectangle's sides aren't the same. Remember with a square, all the sides are the same. So everything on that example was 12. But if you have a rectangle, if you have, more of a cereal box and you unfold it, you're going to see different sizes of rectangles that make that net. So we have a net here, and we can see that all of the different shapes are a rectangle. But notice that we have 3 different sizes of rectangles. And I'll kind of try to highlight them here. So hopefully we can see it a little bit better. We have our big one here in red. We have 2 of those that are kind of our biggest rectangle. And then we have one that's kind of like long and skinny here that I'm outlining in blue. We have 2 of those. And then we have our smallest one here on the sides, kind of like it's the wings or something. And it almost looks like a square, but I can tell it's not quite a square. So we're going to need to find the area of all of these. We need the area of big one, the medium one, and the small one. So with this, it really is important to look at your labels and make sure you're picking the correct length and width. So let's go ahead and start with the red one. So I can see that our red one here has a length of 7 centimeters. And then this little arrow here is saying that both of those sides are 4 centimeters. So to find the area of the red rectangle, we're going to multiply length times width. So in this case, we're going to take 7 times 4, 7, 14, 21, 28. So that gives us a total area of 28. And we could go ahead and write this in for both of the red ones if we want. Now let's find the area of the medium one, the blue one here. Well, this center blue one, I don't have anything labeled on it. So let me jump down to the bottom one. Maybe there's labels there because it's, kind of on the outside, easier to label the outside ones. I can see this bottom blue one has a length of 7 centimeters and a width of 3 centimeters. So we'll take 7 times 3, and that gives us an area of 21. So both of these blue ones have an area of 21. Now let's do our sides, the 2 green ones. I can see based on these arrows, I have a length of 4 and a width of 2. So we'll take 4 times 2, which gives us an area of 8. All right, we've done the hard work. Now we just got to put it together because we found the area of every individual rectangle. But if we want the total surface area, we need to add them all up. So one thing that you could do, just like that prior example, especially if you've labeled them like I've done here, you can add it up. So take, in your calculator, 28 plus 21 plus 28 plus 21 plus 8 plus 8, and you'll get your answer. Or if you want to use multiplication as a little bit of a shortcut, you can, and I'll show that on the board because we have 2 rectangles that have an area of 28, so 2 times 28. And then we're going to add that to the 2 rectangles that have an area of 21. And then we'll add that to the 2 rectangles that have an area of 8. So 2 times 28 is 56. 2 times 21 is 42. And then 2 times 8 is 16. And if we add that all up, 56 plus 42 plus 16 gives us a total surface area, SA for surface area, of 114 centimeters squared. I do notice, in case any of you do, I mislabeled this. That says 3 inches. If it really was 3 inches, then we'd have other steps to do, but that was a mislabel. They all were supposed to be centimeters. So if you did notice that mistake, that was a mistake. So we have 144 centimeters squared as our final answer. All right, last one here. This is very similar to number 5 on your test. It's the last shape that I had shared we would be doing, and that is a square-based pyramid. So yes, it's a different shape, but the overall process is the same, where we find the area of our net, we find the area of all of the faces, add them up, and that gives us our total surface area. So when we have a square-based pyramid, we have 2 different shapes here. The base is a square, or it could be a rectangle, one of the 2. Actually, no, I think it'll always be a square. Yeah, if you have a square-based pyramid, bottom will be a square, and then our 4 sides are all triangles. So let's go ahead and start with our square here. And because it's a square, I know that if one side is 3 inches, the other side also has to be 3 inches. So the area would be 3 times 3, which is 9. Now, if we want to find the area of all of our triangles here, I'll do these in red. We'll make it like it's a Christmas one. Christmas pyramid instead of Christmas tree. We can see that the information we have labeled is the bottom of it here. Our base would be 3 inches because that's what makes up that square. So we have a base of 3 inches. And then we have a height here of 6 inches. If you recall, the formula for finding the area of a square-based pyramid is, the area of a triangle, because that's what our sides are, is they're triangles, is area is equal to 1/2 base times height. So area is equal to 1/2 times our base of 3 times our height of 6 inches. Now, a lot of times, that 1/2 is a little difficult to put in the calculator, so you could convert it to a decimal. So the decimal version of 1/2 is 0 5/10. So if we multiply all of that there, we have 1/2, otherwise known as 0 5/10, times 3 times 6, and that gives us an area of 9. So the area of all of our different triangles here also happens to be 9. That's kind of funny, a little bit of a coincidence there. It's not going to happen too often. All right, to find the total surface area, 2 options. Either one, just add everything up. So the 9s for your triangles plus the 9 for your square, or you could use multiplication. I'm going to pretend the numbers aren't the same, because if you wanted to use multiplication as a little bit of a shortcut, you'd take your surface area and then you'd take the 9 inches for the square and then add that to 4 times the 9 inches of the triangle. So then surface area is equal to 9 plus 4 times 9 is 36. And if we add that together, we get a total surface area of 45 inches squared. All right, hopefully this video helped, clear up some of your questions you maybe had on surface area, get you a little bit more examples. So the surface area of Mark's game piece here was 45 inches squared. Forgot to add that little word problem part into it. Um, so go ahead and, if you need to work on your test, hopefully this has helped. Have another attempt on it, work on it. If you have any questions, please reach out, or of course, make sure you come to this week's help session so I can work with you. All right. Have a good rest of your day. I'll see you guys later. Bye.